Have you heard of Saint Padre Pio? He was one of the most fascinating saints of the 20th century, known for his miraculous works and deep devotion. But did you know that just a few minutes before he died, he had a surprising vision? Imagine the scene: a saint, already very frail, holding his rosary and murmuring mysterious words. What could he have seen? Before we dive into this intriguing story, subscribe to our channel and leave your name for prayers. Let's together discover more about the final moments of this extraordinary man. In the last moments of his life in 1968, he experienced something that left everyone around him curious and amazed. Imagine the scene. It's a night in September. Padre Pio, already 81 years old, was very frail and nearly fainted. Some priests helped him lie down in bed. He was visibly exhausted, but still found the strength to make his last confession and renew his Franciscan vows. He held his rosary firmly, something that had been a pillar in his prayer life. Shortly after midnight, Padre Pio was very weak but managed to repeat the words Jesus and Mary while holding his rosary. These simple yet powerful words reflected his deep faith and devotion. Around 2:30 in the morning, something incredible happened. He woke up suddenly, and those around him realized he was seeing something they couldn't see. With an expression of surprise and serenity, he said, "I see two mothers." And then, he called out Mary before exhaling his last breath. Those were his last words. Now, can you imagine the mystery and curiosity that followed? Everyone around him was intrigued. Who were these two mothers he saw? What could he have witnessed in that sacred moment? There are various interpretations of this vision. One of the most popular is that he could have been seeing the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, to whom he was extremely devoted. The other mother could have been his own biological mother, who was also named Mary. The idea of seeing both the Heavenly Mother and his earthly mother is something deeply touching and beautiful, isn't it? Another interpretation suggests he could have been referring to the Church, which is often called Mother by Christians. But even so, this doesn't diminish the mystery and depth of this vision. Imagine the peace and consolation he must have felt, surrounded by the love of these two maternal figures in his final moments. These last words and visions of Padre Pio are more than just a curious account. They offer a glimpse into the depth of his faith and his spiritual connection with the divine. It's a powerful reminder of his unwavering devotion and how, even in his last moments, he was deeply connected to his faith and the sacred figures he venerated. This story not only makes us reflect on the mysteries of faith and the afterlife, but also inspires us to think about our own spiritual lives and connections with the sacred. Isn't it amazing to think about how faith can provide comfort and strength even in the most difficult moments? Let's talk about the life of Saint Padre Pio and his extraordinary miracles, which made him one of the most beloved saints of the 20th century. The story of Padre Pio is filled with miraculous events that have captured the imagination of millions of people around the world. From his childhood, he demonstrated a deep spirituality and a special connection with the divine, something that only intensified over the years. Padre Pio was born in 1887 in a small village in Italy. From an early age, he had mystical experiences that many believe were signs of his future sainthood. At 5 years old, he already dedicated himself to the Lord, and at 15, he entered the Capuchin order, a life of devotion he embraced with all his heart. One of the most notable things about him was his ability of bilocation, that is, being present in two places at the same time. Many people reported seeing him in different places simultaneously, something that remains a mystery to this day. Besides bilocation, Padre Pio was also known for his stigmata, wounds on his hands, feet, and sides corresponding to those of Jesus Christ on the cross. These wounds were painful, but Padre Pio accepted them as a way to share in Christ's suffering. Curiously, the blood that flowed from his wounds had a sweet fragrance, similar to flowers, which many called the odor of sanctity. During World War II, there were reports that Padre Pio performed miracles that protected his hometown, San Giovanni Rotondo, from being bombed. Allied pilots reported seeing a monk in the sky, gesturing for them not to drop bombs on the town. These pilots later identified the monk as Padre Pio, even though he was physically in the monastery at the time. Miraculously, the town suffered no damage during the war, and many believe this was due to Padre Pio's intervention. Padre Pio also had an incredible ability to read people's souls. Many who went to him for confession reported that he knew their sins before they even confessed them. This led many to seek his guidance and counsel, believing he had a direct connection with God. But perhaps the most touching aspect of his miraculous life was his devotion to the Rosary. He called the Rosary his weapon and spent countless hours praying and offering prayers for those who sought his intercession. Padre Pio deeply believed in the power of prayer and encouraged everyone around him to pray the Rosary regularly. Padre Pio lived a life dedicated to serving others, showing love and compassion to everyone he met. He opened a hospital called Casa Salievo della Sofferenza, House for the Relief of Suffering, which is still a center of medical excellence today, where patients receive not only physical care but also spiritual comfort. These miracles and Padre Pio's deep faith have left a lasting legacy. His life is a powerful testimony to the strength of faith and the human capacity to reach the divine. Even after his death, he continues to inspire and touch the lives of many people around the world. Isn't it incredible how a life so full of faith and miracles can continue to resonate through generations? If there is one thing you need to know about him, it is that he considered the Rosary as his most powerful weapon. We're not talking about a weapon in the literal sense, of course, but a spiritual tool he believed had immense power against evil and the difficulties of life. From a very young age, Padre Pio had a special connection with the prayer of the Rosary. For him, the Rosary was not just a series of repetitive prayers but a means of deep meditation on the lives of Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary. This practice provided him with comfort and strength in the most challenging times. He believed so strongly in the power of the Rosary that he spent hours and hours praying, often late into the night, even when he was physically exhausted. One of the most inspiring aspects of his devotion to the Rosary is how he incorporated it into his daily life. Padre Pio did not reserve the Rosary prayer for specific times of the day. Instead, he prayed it constantly, as if it were a natural extension of his breath. And he did not pray just for himself. He offered these prayers for the intentions of those who came to him for help, comfort, or guidance. People who knew Padre Pio often spoke about how he always had a rosary in his hands. No matter where he was, in church, in the monastery, or even in moments of conversation, the rosary was always present. This was not just a habit but an expression of his deep faith and trust in the intercessory power of the Virgin Mary. Padre Pio also believed that the Rosary had special power against the forces of evil. He called the Rosary his weapon because he saw it as a means of combating temptations and spiritual attacks. In many of his letters and conversations, he encouraged people to use the Rosary as a tool of spiritual defense. He believed that through the prayer of the Rosary, the faithful could obtain God's protection and the Virgin Mary's intercession in their lives. In addition to his own devotional practice, Padre Pio encouraged everyone around him to pray the rosary. He said there was no problem so great that it could not be resolved by the rosary prayer. For him, this prayer was a way to connect directly with the divine, seek guidance, and find peace. His message was clear: regardless of the circumstances, the rosary prayer could bring comfort, clarity, and strength. The impact of this devotion on Padre Pio's life was enormous, and he firmly believed that the rosary was one of the reasons he was able to endure the many challenges he faced throughout his life. From the physical pains caused by the stigmata to the emotional and spiritual hardships, the rosary was his constant refuge. So, when we think of Saint Padre Pio, we cannot help but remember his unwavering devotion to the rosary. He showed us that through fervent prayer and trust in the intercessory power of Mary, we can find strength and comfort in the most challenging situations. His life is a testimony of faith and an inspiration for all who seek a deeper connection with God through prayer. And who knows, by adopting this practice, we may also experience the peace and protection that Padre Pio found in his spiritual journey. Padre Pio dedicated his life to Jesus Christ at the age of 5, and at 15, he joined the Capuchin order. His devotion was evident in every aspect of his life, and he frequently reported visions and conversations with sacred figures. Imagine the depth of that spiritual connection. For Padre Pio, these visions were not just fleeting moments but significant encounters that provided him with comfort and guidance. He described his conversations with Jesus and Mary as intimate dialogues that helped him face life's challenges with faith and courage. These mystical experiences were a constant source of strength for him and a testament to his profound spirituality. One of the most fascinating aspects of his life was his relationship with his guardian angel. Padre Pio often mentioned how his angel helped him in times of need, offering protection and guidance. He saw his guardian angel as a constant friend and companion, someone he could rely on in all situations. This close relationship with the angel was an integral part of his spiritual life and demonstrated his unwavering faith in divine presence and assistance. Besides the visions and conversations with Jesus and Mary, Padre Pio was also known for his stigmata, marks on his hands, feet, and side corresponding to Christ's wounds on the cross. These wounds, which he bore for 50 years, were painful, but Padre Pio accepted them as a way to share in Jesus' suffering. Most impressively, the blood that flowed from these wounds had a sweet fragrance, similar to flowers, which many called the odor of sanctity. Padre Pio also had an incredible ability of bilocation, being present in two places at the same time. Numerous accounts tell of people seeing him simultaneously in different locations, something he never explained but which further added to the mystery and admiration surrounding him. This mystical phenomenon reinforced the belief that he had an extraordinary connection with the divine. His life was a constant testimony of faith and devotion. Even in the moments of greatest pain and suffering, he found comfort in prayer and his intimate relationship with Jesus and Mary. Padre Pio spent hours in prayer, especially praying the rosary, and firmly believed in the power of Mary's intercession. For those who knew and followed him, Padre Pio was a source of inspiration and a living example of how faith can transform life. His mystical experiences, visions, and deep relationship with the divine continue to touch and inspire people worldwide, reminding us of the importance of spirituality and faith in our lives. Thus, reflecting on Padre Pio's life, we are invited to explore our own spirituality and seek a deeper connection with the sacred, knowing that, like him, we can find strength and comfort in our faith. From a young age, Padre Pio demonstrated an unusual spiritual sensitivity. He had a deep understanding of the spiritual struggles we face in the world and firmly believed in the importance of prayer as a weapon against the forces of evil. His predictions about a mysterious plague that would afflict the world, as well as global conflicts, earthquakes, and storms, are notably relevant today. Padre Pio warned that the world would face monumental challenges and that humanity would need to prepare spiritually to face them. He saw prayer not just as an act of devotion but as a vital necessity to protect and save lives. His call for people to prepare with powerful prayer resonates deeply even today, especially in a world increasingly marked by uncertainties and crises. Besides his prophetic visions, Padre Pio was a fervent advocate of the Rosary's power. He frequently exhorted the faithful to recite the Rosary regularly as a way to strengthen their faith and seek divine protection. For him, the Rosary was not just a series of repetitive prayers but a source of spiritual strength that directly connected the devout with Mary's intercession. During wartime, such as in World War II, Padre Pio witnessed miracles that he attributed to divine intervention and fervent prayer. He believed that the protection of certain areas, such as San Giovanni Rotondo where he lived, was a testament to the power of prayer and heavenly intercession. Padre Pio's relationship with Mary, the mother of Jesus, was central to his spiritual life. He saw Mary not just as a religious figure but as a loving mother who intercedes for her children before God. His love for Mary was tangible in his words and actions, and he encouraged others to cultivate a similar devotion, especially through the Rosary. Looking at the life of Saint Padre Pio, we are challenged to reflect on the depth of our own faith and the importance of prayer in our lives. His predictions and call to prayer are a powerful reminder that, regardless of the challenges we face, we can find comfort and strength in our spiritual connection with God and the intercession of the saints. Padre Pio teaches us that prayer is not just a religious practice but a source of hope and protection in times of adversity. As we explore the life and legacy of Saint Padre Pio, we are led to a world of spiritual wonders and profound lessons of faith. His story is not just about miracles and visions, but about a journey of total surrender to God and trust in heavenly intercession. Padre Pio reminds us of the importance of constant and fervent prayer, especially through the Rosary, as a means to strengthen our faith and seek divine protection. His experiences with stigmata, his prophetic visions, and his love for Mary inspire us to cultivate a deeper connection with the divine in our own lives. He teaches us that even in the face of adversity and uncertainties in the world, we can find peace and hope in our relationship with God and the intercession of the saints. Moreover, Padre Pio's predictions about global challenges and his exhortation for spiritual preparation strongly resonate today. He reminds us of the importance of remaining steadfast in our faith, especially in times of crisis, and trusting in divine providence to guide our steps. Therefore, as we celebrate the life of Saint Padre Pio, we not only celebrate a remarkable saint but also find inspiration to strengthen our spiritual journey. May his life be a constant reminder that, through prayer and trust in God, we can face any challenge and find peace that surpasses all understanding. If you enjoyed this conversation about Saint Padre Pio and would like more inspiring content like this, please subscribe to the channel and leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and exchange ideas on spiritual topics and stories of faith. Let's continue this journey together.